Hey guys, I know it's me again, just jumping quickly on. I just saw a question in the group. I'm literally between, that sort of masterclass in the next like 20, 30 minutes. So what I wanted to do is just quickly jump on here because Ben asked the question inside the group. I was going to try and type this out to try and help with this, but it would be easier to do a very, very quick video and more than try and type out how to do it. So Ben asked a question. Obviously, I've tagged you in this, Ben, about organizing your guides, the guides inside your PTD accounts into different sections. So you can have like breakfast recipes, lunch recipes, and things like that. Now there are some updates coming in around that. I'm not going to tell you too much about them now because that is Tim who will normally tell you about those kind of things. But there are some things that are coming in the not too distant future to really help with that. But there's a really, really good way of doing it now in terms of how you set this up inside your PTD account. And I thought it'd be useful to share it with you here, and also other people here might find this quite useful too. And I think the first thing I want to talk about is actually how to find this really, really useful, because when you've got lots of content, let's say if you've got lots of different recipes, or you've got lots of resources, maybe eating out guides for different restaurants and coffee shops and things like that. If you've got loads of different things like that, and you want your clients to go and find them, necessarily putting these into folders and things like that isn't always the best way of doing it. And you might be thinking, well, actually, sure, it'd be easier to go to, recipes, breakfast, whatever, or eating out or whatever. Yes, maybe, but let's compare that to something like Google Drive. Google Drive being a really, really popular place to organize all your content, or Dropbox, for example, again, a really popular place to organize all your content. Yes, you can put things in folders, but most of the time when you're trying to find things, the quickest way to do it is to use the search feature. Now, regardless of whether PT Distinction had folders or not within the guide section, it would still probably be easier for your clients to use the search feature to find out what they want. So maybe what we need to start looking at is actually how do we organize our content in the guide section or in the coaching section so that it's easy for our clients to actually go and search and find what they want. In order to do that, we need to do two things. The first thing we need to do is look at a way of organizing our coaching content so it's searchable. Now, the search inside PT Distinction works from basically looking for words that are in the title of the actual item. So what you want to think of first is how you're going to organize those different things. So, for example, one of the things you'll probably want to be doing is, if you've got recipes, maybe the first one would be recipes, the next one will be breakfasts, and the next will be whatever the actual recipe is called, if you've got individual recipes. If you're going to do guides, you might want to do something like restaurant guides and then the name of the restaurant after it. I'm going to show you a way of actually doing that now. So I'm going to go and bring up my screen and just drop that in so you can have a look at it. So in here, I'm going to do this inside the group, and this is how I'd recommend you would do it using groups. And if you watched my training video a little bit earlier on today, which I'm not sure if it's actually inside the newsfeed or not. I didn't actually know whether it actually went into the newsfeed or not. It's definitely inside the group videos. If it's not in the newsfeed, I will upload it a bit later so you can watch a replay of it. But in there, we talked about groups a little bit and how to use them. And I'd recommend you use groups if you want to do this. So anybody watching this, this is how I recommend setting this up if you've got lots of resources like recipes and guides and stuff. So I was going to set up a group first. I'll do that by going to the group section here. And in the group section up at the top, you want to go and head to add group. And in this one here, you're just going to go and type whatever you want to call it. So we could call it resources in here, and then click add. So we've got a group called resources. And the advantage of this, it means if you want to add new resources to this, maybe you have one of those subscription services. There's lots of different companies out there that do that give you new recipes each month or that kind of thing. You could have a resources folder like this and just keep putting them into that. And then that will update for all members of that group. So you could have all your clients to that resources group, just keep putting things in there. And all you need to do in order to update it is when your new stuff comes through, type in resources into your search bar at the top, open up the group, and then go and add these things in. Now, to add things in, as I'm sure many of you already know, is you hit the green add button. We just go to coaching over here and we add in whatever it is. So PDF, text document, whatever you want to put in. So we're going to use PDF here as an example. We can pull from a computer and upload it, which is what you guys would want to do. I'm just going to go and use a template one, but let's imagine you've uploaded this into it. And let's say we're going to do a recipe. So I know, Ben, in your case, you're talking about breakfasts. So I'll do something like recipes in here first, just so it's nice and clear. And I'll do a little line, and I'll do something like breakfast. And inside here, you could put, if it's a certain type of breakfast recipe, it could be like a training day breakfast recipes. And then I'd leave this live, have both of these checked here so everyone can see it, always have it live, then click save. If they're going to ask you to schedule this, and I'll just click no thanks. Like I wouldn't go and schedule that into there, and I'll just leave that in. And I'll do that same thing, the same process of all the other stuff. So let's say we have this again. I'd go into add, coaching, PDF. I'd upload it from my computer. And in here, maybe I'm going to do recipes again, but it's just going to be breakfast again, but maybe it's going to be a non-training day, for example. And you can keep doing this exact same process here. If you want to do guides, again, no thanks again for that. If you want to do guides, maybe coaching, PDF, in here again, we'll just do another random one. Maybe it's going to be a guides, restaurants, and maybe it's going to be 5 guys, for example, in here. And then again, leave it live, click OK. No thanks again. So you're building out this resources here. Now, all these resources are going to appear in the guide section in the app for your client. Now, you might be thinking it could be a lot of information inside that guide section. And yes, it will be a lot of information inside that guide section. But as long as you structure your program in a way that allows them to know that they're going to find things in that guide section, either by going to the schedule because you want to do certain tasks, or by using the search feature in the app. So inside the app, when they go to guides, there's a little search magnifying glass in the top left-hand corner, top right-hand corner, sorry, and they can just type in there what it is. So they could type in recipes, and literally all their recipes would show up. They could type in breakfast, or their breakfast would show up. They could type in guides, or their guides would show up. Type in restaurants, or their restaurants would show up. Or they could just type in 5 guys, and it'll give them the survival guide to 5 guys. They could type in McDonald's, and it could be that. They could type in whatever it is they want to type in, and those different things will come up. They can click on it and then open it up, and it's by far the quickest way for them to actually find things in PT Distinction. Now, I mentioned there's 2 things we have to do here. This is going to be the first thing we have to do, is put these out here. The next thing we want to do is think about how we're going to help the client understand how to find these things. So it's all right putting this in, but if you have to tell every single client how to use it, it's not going to be ideal. Now, one of the things we've talked about many times before is the importance of onboarding and how that works. And as I mentioned previously today, I do actually have a training on that, which I did in the group a couple of months back. I think it was in April sometime. And we talked a lot about onboarding and how to go through that process and the importance of it, and how that can actually make a huge difference in terms of getting results for your clients, adherence, less chance of chargebacks, all that kind of stuff. And if you want to copy that, again, just let us know in the comments, just type onboarding or something like that, and I'll send it over to you. But if you follow that kind of process in there, the idea that you just drip feed stuff out to them and you give all that clarity so they know exactly what they need to do, this process is going to be easy for them because it's all that they're going to know. They're just going to understand, okay, if I want to find something, I'll go and use the search box to go and do it. So in here, what we then do is give them that guidance. So there's a couple of things we can do with this. The first thing what we'd do is we'd probably have a text document to go with it. So I'm going to go add text. And then here, I'd type in something like how to use your resources. And this I would actually add to the schedule, but we'll talk about that in a second. And in here, I'd just maybe put some information in about how to actually use each resource. So how to, how to use the resources, a bit of information in there, explaining where to go and find it, how to search for it. If you want to get really fancy, you can add a few images inside there. And I'll definitely recommend do something like that. You know, add some screenshots in of the app. I'll try and give you some examples of what I mean by that. So you can find one in here, like an intro one or something like that. We can maybe use to give you some examples. Not be the best example, but you get the idea. So you can put some stuff in like this just to kind of show them how things work inside the app. So lots of different things you can do just to demonstrate that. Now, once you've got it in, just put how to use your resources. So it's nice and clear for them how it's actually all going to work. And then what you want to do is just go and save that in there. And then you can then go and add that to the schedule. And this is something I would add to the schedule because you want to let them know how to do it. And depending on how your program is, depending on how your onboarding is, will depend on where you put this. Maybe you put it on day 1 or day 2. You might not want to introduce all this stuff straight away. So I can go in here. I'm going to add this on, say, day 1 at 9 a.m. But you can add it any day you want to, depending on where your program's set up. And what that means is then when the client comes through this, they're going to go through, they're going to say, oh, cool, what's this thing here? Here's how to use the resources. Here's some information about how all that works in terms of using those resources. And then they go to the guides area, they'll type it in and go, hey, this is all this amazing resources stuff we've got. So they're the 2 important things I do: explain and add the clarity about how to use it, and then organize things using this kind of format here, and just make sure you use the same format, because when they search for it, it's going to make it easier for them to find different stuff. Now, I mentioned there's two things you can do when it comes to this bit here with this resources guide. And the thing you can do, if you want to get a little bit fancy, it takes a bit more time to set up, but if you've got a lot of your resources in already, it's a good way of doing it. It's something we've done a couple of times for our done-for-you clients when we set things up for them in PTD. And that's actually creating a resource list and having the guides here. Because I don't know if you know this or not, but with PDFs, whenever you click on a PDF, let's say we click on it here, it will trigger a new window to open up on your desktop, but in your app, it opens the PDF inside the app. Now, the way it does that is it uses this URL at the top. This is where your PDF, if you like, is stored inside P Distinction, and that's what triggers it inside the app. The thing is, you can actually take that URL, and if you click that from inside the app, it will also open it up from that URL. So technically speaking, you don't actually need to go into the guide section to go and open it up. So if you wanted to get really, really fancy, what you could do is with your resources section inside here, I'm just going to go and edit this. I'm going to delete a few bits just to make it a little bit easier so you can see what it is. What you could do is actually put in your breakfast guides in here as an example. And down here, you could type in, I'm just going to put breakfast 1 just to make it easier for this, breakfast 2, and so on. So you can actually put in a list of all the different things that are available in here. Still explain to them how to search it and find it, because that is literally the easiest way for them to go and do it. So I really would recommend you do explain that to them. But if you wanted to give them a list of all your guides, you can actually just come in here and you can actually add in that link that we've taken from there. Make sure you set the target to none. That means it will open up inside the app when they do it. And actually just link each one of them up. So when they're inside the app, they can open and go, oh, cool, they can click on that. If you want to get super, super fancy, you can actually use images and then link to those images as well and make it look really pretty and that kind of thing. It just depends how much content you've got. And the advantage of this as well with it being a group is if you want to add more to it, you can just come in here and add more to the bottom of your list. So if you really want to give them an idea of what they've actually got, they can click on it and find it, or they can use a search as well. That's the way you can actually set it up. And it's a very smooth process for your clients. It's really, really easy for them to go and do. And I'll just go and show you that inside here now. Get a little refresh so you can see it. Really, it's really quite a simple process to actually set up. It does work really, really well. Like I say, they can click on that and it will actually just open it up for them like that. And obviously that will appear inside the app for them to go and use. So a couple of ways there of doing it in terms of organizing your content in inside your accounts. Right, has anybody got any questions? There's a few people watching before I shoot off. Like I say, it's only going to be a very, very quick one, this. I just wanted to do that for Ben just to have a look. Jed's saying hi, but his little sneaky eyes in there as well. Cool, if there's no questions, I'll leave you all with that. If you're watching this back on replay, again, just let us know in the comments and I'll try and answer them for you. And for whatever reason, I don't know why that live video didn't show up earlier on the news feed inside here. So you can find it in the media area of the group. But what I'll do is I'm going to download it and re-upload it again so you can actually watch that training. And that was that training I did earlier on today, the live masterclass into the group, which was all about how to actually set up and sell your services using P Distinction on your website. So we did about a 50-minute masterclass on that earlier on today. For whatever reason, it went live into the group, but not actually into the newsfeed. So I'll share that into the newsfeed now so you guys can watch it back on the replay. Anyway, that's it from me. As I say, any questions at all, always just let me know in the comments or just tag me in, and I'm always there to try and help, and I'll see you all soon. Cheers, everyone. Bye-bye.